Hello and welcome to the final episode of Last Shot. In case you haven't seen the previous 9 episodes, don't fret, because I'm here to do a recap for you. Bornado, while personally being a Skylander that I like, didn't manage to get off my top 10 worst. Countdown, on the other hand, I realized how fun he really was thanks to his soldier move, and that is why he's no longer on my top 10 worst. Funny Bone was rather unfortunate though, as his only real saving grace is his primary attack, so that's why he's still on my top 10 worst. As of Chill, I realized how awesome she really is thanks to her Ice Javelin path. Shroom Boom, after having a go on him, I still didn't think he was the best Skylander around, but he still had pretty good moves, so that's why he's off my bad list. Freeze Blade only improved a little bit, as I still didn't understand its moveset and still found it frustrating. Whereas with Washbuckler, I realized that he's the superior water swapper in my opinion, after realizing that upgrading him makes him a lot better. Same thing with Spyro, apart that I learned that the simplest of movesets doesn't mean that they're not fun. While Sprocket is in the tech element, and tech is my favorite element, this is where all the good things end, as noted by her really boring moveset and really boring personality, and she was so frustrating to the point where I had to switch to Drill Sergeant. So I guess this leaves us with our final Skylander of my top 10 worst. Dark Slobber Tooth. While Dark Slobber Tooth looks a lot better, due to me only owning the dark variant of this guy, there's nothing else nice to say about his moveset. His primary and tertiary attacks I only use on heavier enemies, but his secondary attack I use it all the time, because it's just... yeah, that's just how easy it is to use Slobber Tooth, and it gets dull, and tedious, and repetitive. But will this guy actually become good like I used to think he is? Find out today in this episode. Alright, we have Swap Force ready, the game where Dark Slobber Tooth originated from. Let's put the sucker in the portal. Ugh, and just like that, already distaste in my mouth. What you can do for me, Rufus, is to shut up. Let's see where I can upgrade him.
Hello, Skylander friend. Are you ready to achieve physical perfection to rival my own?
Okay, I don't have enough money.
I need to crunch these nuts.
Let's go over to Mudwater Hollow. I think that level suits him. I don't know what's the big deal with these Grumblebum Thrashers. I defeated that guy easily. Just like that, I already have doubts for Dark Slobber Tooth. Getting a lot of distaste. Ugh. I mean, maybe back when I was younger, I probably would have minded these things. See how easy it is to kill enemies. And I don't even find it the slightest bit fun. You know, here's something what baffles me. Gillmen are basically fish people, yet they're fishing for fish. So technically, they are eating their own ancestors. I don't know, this is a kid's game, so it's not supposed to make sense. You know, I like Snagglescale, but I much prefer Gurglefin. Gurglefin was just more interesting.
Another gear's gone missing. No fork at all, fight. And crunch.
I feel so embarrassed. Just the whole uncanniness of this guy. Hey look, he's become a vacuum cleaner. How nice. But you know, it's not even that useful.
You saved us, Skylander. And now this here magic circle is working again.
Wait, these things are called magic circles?
Ancient flash sphere. There's plenty folk around here want to thank you. Why don't you look around the village?
What? I thought these are called Mega Bounce Pads or something. Even that is much less of a lame name. Lame. Such a tongue twister.
Skylanders of the magic.
Just one more crystal and then I have to stop playing as this guy. Well, we saved the ancient fashion with one of the worst skylanders of all time. Hooray! Now it is time for my final thoughts on Dark Slobber Tooth. My final thoughts on Slobber Tooth. I still quite like his design because it's a lot better than his previous one, and I don't think he's my least favorite Skylander anymore because his primary attack is actually not bad, which means that Sprocket is now my least favorite Skylander. But that doesn't mean he's perfect. He's far from that. Slobbertooth is now my second least favorite Skylander because there's no strategy behind him. I mean, when you use his second attack, that's all you're going to be using. Eating enemies and then spitting them out. That is how I have success with Slobbertooth. And it's still monotonous and it's still boring. So, Dark Slobber Tooth is definitely not redeemed. Before I wrap up this series for good, I've decided to rank all of these Skylanders that participated in Last Shot from best to worst. Number 10 is Chill. I was really surprised by her. I think the only bad thing I can say about her is her very boring design. Apart from that, she's actually really unique. She's got a unique personality. I love her attacks. She's just a great Skylander overall. Number 9 is Spyro. He's iconic to say the least. His moves might be a bit simple at the start, but the more you upgrade him, the more you're gonna like him. Number 8 is Washbuckler. I'm still not a huge fan of him, unfortunately, but he's still good. I love his bubble gun attack, as even if you shoot it and you leave the enemy there, they're just going to die. That means you can multitask with attacking enemies. And that's what I love about Washbuckler. Now I realize that Countdown is actually a really solid tech Skylander. It might be basic at the beginning, but the soldier move definitely fixes all his problems. Shroom Boom. Shroom Boom is okay. I'm not a huge fan of him. I think his primary attack does take a while to get used to. His shielding is useful, I guess, but his soldier move is great. I'm not gonna lie, once you get a soldier move, then you're set. Now, Tornado, it hurt for me so much when I had to tell him that he's not redeemed, but if I made a new top 10 list, he'd still be at number 10. So he's the only Skylander to not have any places switched, which is ironic for a first episode of a redemption series like this. His primary attack is all I use though, and I think that's his problem. His other two attacks I just find incredibly useless. But hey, compared to the other four, at least he's going for something. Number 4, Freeze Blade. I am so sorry guys, I'm just not a huge fan of him. His attacks are just too rubbish for me. His frisbee attack is mediocre. His skate attack has improved a little for me, but is still mediocre. And his freeze ability, just utter useless to me. In my opinion, Freeze Blade is the worst swapper. And I deeply apologize to those who hold Freeze Blade close to their hearts. I'm just not a huge fan of him. I'm sorry. Number 3, Funny Bone. I only need a few words to describe how bad he is in my opinion. Primary attack is the only good attack. He does have a bit of strategy, which is why he's only my 3rd least favorite Skylander as of now. But that strategy is completely wasted due to how useless the other 2 attacks are. Number 2, Iceland Bash. The shop Iceland, not the actual country. I despise Dark Slobber Tooth. His prime attack is the only attack that actually does damage, but it's boring, it's just him headbutting. His second attack is overpowered, you just eat the enemy and spit him out. How is that fun? And his third move, where he slaps his tail into the ground, is actually unique, but it doesn't do much damage, only 10 damage. 10 damage. I see no use in Dark Slobber Tooth, but at least he isn't as bad as my number 1 least favorite Skylander, Sprocket. So that means that my least favorite Skylander of all time is now Sprocket. There's nothing nice I can say about Sprocket. At least my previous 3 Skylanders that I mentioned at least have some sort of thing going for them, but Sprocket, absolutely nothing. She has a boring design, a lackluster personality, and terrible attacks. I just hate Sprocket so much, and I'm more than willing to give her to one of my friends or sell her on eBay. The latter over the former. So now this marks the end of Last Shot. I thank you guys so much for supporting me as I journeyed through these 10 Skylanders to see whether they redeemed themselves or they're just as terrible as her. But in case you're new to the channel, like, comment, and subscribe. And in case you love any of these Skylanders, that's great. I'm just glad you can enjoy something that I can't. And with that message, I'll see you next time.